All right, cool. So first of all, what is Cucumber? That's the important question here, is that you may think that Cucumber may be a automation framework. Cucumber may be something that will be better than Selenium, but Cucumber actually works with Selenium, and Cucumber offers a way to write tests that anybody can understand. Right from this line, you can understand the usefulness of this tool in your team, regardless of their technical knowledge in BDD. So business analyst, do we consider them as a coder? No. Product owner, do we consider them as a coder? No. Project manager, same thing, right? They don't write code. So if you wrote your test in Cucumber, these guys can read and understand what have you automated so far. So these guys can come and give you feedback and say, hey, I see that you wrote 20 test cases. I think you're missing one. Can you add that? So that's the leverage that you're getting. That's the help that you're getting from business and product owner. The other thing is that if there is a checks and balance there, right? So that means simply going in and reading the test cases and understanding will provide more visibility to the entire team, not only the QA team who's writing the test automation. The other important aspect of that is that maintainability, because you yourself, sometime when you write code and like a month later, you look into the same code and you'll be confused, thinking what the code is doing, right? In order for you to update the code. So if you want to update some code, you need to understand what is the intention there, and you may forget unless you write some comments. So in Cucumber, you don't need to write excessive comments because it's already written in plain English. You're writing your step definition in plain English, basically. So in here, what it is talking about is that it's talking about that, for signing off, product owners before developer and write their code, Cucumber framework, blah, blah. So here, basically, it's saying that even if it's like, if your team has some sort of like approval process, maybe looking into, or maybe you're doing TDD, test-driven development, right? BDD can help, right? BDD will help you a lot when you have this kind of environment that you're working in. So what is the difference between BDD and TDD? TDD is basically test-driven development, and BDD is a behavior-driven development. So with BDD, you're getting requirements similar to this. Let me go down here. You're getting requirements just like this, right? Which is very easy even for you to understand what the user wants. Everything is written in user point of view. So now when you get a requirement, you see like, oh, given a user is doing this, and after that, the user should see this and that, right? So user action, and then what the outcome for that user action written in BDD. The way that the format is, so given, and, when, or, and then these are the keywords that we use, and this keyword is understood by Cucumber framework, right? So we definitely have to use these keywords, but most importantly, given, when, and then, these are the core keywords that we use in terms of explaining what the scenario that we are automating. So when you write your test cases just like this is called Gherkin syntax. This is Gherkin. So you will definitely have that on your resume, that you understand Gherkin. Gherkin is basically nothing but that, right? This is how it looks, Gherkin. You're explaining everything in user point of view. We can definitely talk about advantage, but let's go back and try to understand what how Cucumber automation framework works. And let me actually give you guys some visuals, so it's probably better. All right. So the way Cucumber works, as you guys so far seen, when you automated, you wrote code directly. But the way Cucumber framework works, we write, oh, let me just change the shape. First, we write our step definition. 20 maybe, okay. So first we write our steps, right? Steps in Gherkin. And the way we write our steps is basically like this: given I am on login page, right? Second step is when I enter whatever username, and let's say this, finally I should be logged in, for example, right? So this is a very small example of Gherkin syntax, and this is basically steps. This goes into where? This actually goes into your feature file, right? So feature file start with extension .feature. So you know how .java that we used, so similar to that. But so when you write your test, you're going to be writing in plain English just like that, right? The next step to this is it's basically to say, hey, you know, if I write this, how does the system understand that this has a meaning and that has a meaning, where my Selenium code goes, right? So what we do is basically we glue our code behind this each and every single step, and we'll be doing that. But so behind each line, we're gonna say when I say that I am logged in on a page given, then I mean these following code. Okay, so basically each and every single line will have their definition, and this is called step definition. Okay, so I'm gonna write that right here. So step definition will be pretty much similar to this. It's gonna be something like that, and I'm gonna write it right here. So step definition is, let me just change the color. So given, and then it will have something like this up, and then it's gonna say I am on login page. And this is kind of like a regular expression right here. That means I'm saying when I say given I am on login page, then do the following, right? So hold on. This, then I'm just gonna say public, whatever, public void login. By CSS, let's say, for example. User name and keys. I know the code is probably not going to run, but at least it's going to look good for our eyes to see. And that's what I will .send keys. And let's say something like this, like whatever, like username is, let's say user1, for example, right? And that's one line. And then we need to say I'm on login page, right? Okay, so this is different. Okay, sorry. So I'm on login page. You're gonna have to say something like driver.get, right? And then you're gonna say like the HTTP Um, obviously that. Okay, so if you want to go to login page, GPS. So I don't. Okay. And then let's say facebook.com/login, right? For example. So when you write your step definitions, again, this is your step. This is how you write your test. This goes underneath. There is a secondary file where we're gonna say step definition. And we're gonna say whenever I say I am on login page, then what I mean is this code, okay? So that code gets executed underneath. Now that code can be coming from basically with all of the things that we use in the past in our previous framework. We can use the object-oriented programming. We can use the page object pattern and models, but still the code remains in step definition. So right off the bat, you guys can see the benefit of this is that you write your test in plain English, and then later you explain what that plain English, each and every single line means in code, so that way it can execute. And this also helps you in the future, because whenever you want to be able to go to the login page, you can just simply copy this line and paste it wherever you're using, and it will go to login page. That's it. Simple as that. So you can, it's like a modular version of code. Each step definition is independent. They shouldn't be dependent on another step. Okay, is there any confusion here before we move forward? Everybody understood? All right, so everybody understood this. That's great. So what I will do first is that let's go back to our IntelliJ, and let's create this framework first. And what do we need in order to implement this in our automated tests? As you can see, this is how it looks like currently. Even if you use TestNG, this is how it looks like. And really not very happy with the way TestNG is at this point, or even without the TestNG. I just feel like we need something better, right? So let's see if we can do something better. I want to click on new. All right, file, new project. All right, Maven project, because we're going to be using the Maven dependencies, and I'm going to say BDD auto framework, right? And then part of this framework toward the end, we're going to also learn how to push our code and merge conflict and everything. So I'm going to open a new one. We no longer want to deal with the old framework. I'm going to move that over to the side. All right. So at least this much we know how to do it from our previous frameworks that we created, right? So at least this much we know. And as soon as we have this source and we have test and main, we will do few things here. But before that, we have to look into the pom.xml, which already opened. In pom.xml, we're going to need 3 things that should match their version of that, right? And these 3 things are called, let me see. Okay, so in order to implement BDD, we need 3 different libraries in our dependencies. Obviously, I'm going to list them down here. This is XML. So when you write comment in XML, I believe is this, and I believe is oh, I even forgot how to write comments in XML. 1 second. Because every language, right, there is different way to write comments. You cannot simply say, okay, I'm going to write comment and go like this. This is for Java. So in order to write comments, you have to use this arrow sign, which I probably, okay, this is how it works. You need 2 of these, you need these 2 also. All right, so let's write it in comment. What do we need, right? So libraries we will need to create BDD automation framework. Anybody here with questions, make sure you let me know, because so I can clarify before diving into more and more, deeper. So first thing first, Selenium. Why do we even need Selenium? Because Selenium does the browser manipulation, right? Then we're still gonna need JUnit for assertion. We're gonna need the Cucumber. Obviously, Cucumber comes with multiple libraries that we need, at least for Java, right? So Cucumber does have, the first one is Cucumber Java, basically, that we need. Number 4 library is going to be Cucumber-JUnit. No, so we don't need this here, actually. The last one is Cucumber Core. Okay, so these are some of the libraries that we're going to be needing in order to automate. Okay. At this point, anybody here with any sort of let's say you don't understand what Cucumber is, you don't understand automation in the first place, raise up so I can explain before moving forward. So everybody here definitely understand what Cucumber is.
Just wanted to ask you, clarify on the
Sure.
JUnit and Cucumber JUnit. Can you like distinguish between those two?
Yep. So this JUnit is basically regular JUnit. So you can think about this way: on your plate, when you are innovating, you can have as much as items as you want. You can have everything, one of each, right? But what you eat matters, right? So you don't have to eat everything. So for example, here, we can choose to have JUnit and Cucumber JUnit. But at the time of using, we can choose, do we use Cucumber JUnit or do we use a regular JUnit? For our case, we're gonna probably use Cucumber JUnit. There is not a huge difference between Cucumber JUnit and JUnit. It's just that it's compatible. It's more compatible with Cucumber. It provides exact same methods and class name that JUnit offers. It's just that it is more compatible because there is a version that is created for Cucumber of JUnit. But the other thing is that these three has to be similar version for a good connection to Cucumber, right? And that's why if I have, like, let's say regular JUnit and then Cucumber Java, they might not play well with each other because this may be a different version, right? But in this case, we will have to make sure that this three is similar version, so that way we are not getting incompatible version of the library. But shouldn't be a big difference. All right, so then the next thing we need to do is, if we go into our source.test, right? In the source.test, we create a, let's say, I will say for Selenium, I'll just go ahead and create a package. Actually, I'm going to say resource, something like that. Oh, yeah, it didn't autofill for me. Okay. S-O-U-R-C.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry.
Sure. Go for it.
So if we have to do the automation, for example, at work, can we pick which method of automation we can use? For example, Cucumber JUnit or just a JUnit. Can we pick by self, like, for example, if you're comfortable and it's more understandable, Cucumber JUnit, like you mentioned, like, a lot of people like product analyst or product manager, it's easy for them to understand that method. So can we, because we have to run the, automation anyways to test it. So can we just pick which one we can do it, or it's up
Yeah,
to
definitely. No, so you bring up, remember you are the Q engineer, and let's say you're the first person in the team to say, hey, we should automate. And they said, okay, your manager comes and encourages you. Okay, why don't you start? Why don't you give us like an idea? You know, I know that you worked in automation before. Why don't you help us getting started? At that point, if you come across to the team and say, look, we're going to be using BDD Cucumber and these are the benefits. And compared to TestNG, for example, because they have really nothing at this point, they will say, okay, whatever you're basically leaning them toward. And you're gonna say, well, they will probably tell you like, okay, since you're the one who's doing automation, you can choose. And that's not a problem. But majority of the team that you'll be joining, so majority of you, when you get your job, there is a good chance that you already have a framework. Your company already has a framework, and there is a possibility, maybe 60 to 70% possibility that it'll be a BDD framework. Okay, but the only difference in BDD framework is that we're writing an extra file to explain our code, and everything else stays the same. So even if you join a company who's not using BDD, you should still be comfortable in terms of understanding, and then be able to write some automated tests. But if you come across BDD, that's even better for you. So that's why we cover all three, and we may just go back and refresh on some of the framework that we talked about it earlier, if we need to. Okay, so as
Thank
we
you.
already know that we need to add this library, and if we need to do that, we have to have dependencies, right? We already know about this thing. Dependencies, that's the first one. And then whenever you have an opening, this is the opening, right? You need to have a closing of that. So the way we do it is like this. This is opening, this is the closing, right? So anything and everything that you created has to have an opening and then closing. Okay, let's go ahead and open up Maven repo. So we're still using Maven in this case. So who can tell me what Maven is? All right, nobody here knows Maven.
Dependency management tool, maybe.
Yes, it's a dependency management tool, and we're writing all the dependencies in Maven pom.xml, so that way Maven can download them automatically, right? Why do we do that? We do that because, let's say we have 5 people in the team, and we want to share our code with the 5 other team members. If we're not using Maven.xml, we'll have to install these libraries one at a time until they have everything here in these external libraries before they can write any sort of code, right? It will not work, it will be red. So now if your coworker is installing one at a time, he may choose different version, right? He may choose something that he shouldn't. And now his code is not going to work. Now he's going to reach out to you and say, hey, you know, this and that, can you fix it? And this is the problem that you're going to face every single time. So in order to avoid that, can we have something that will manage these dependencies, so that way people don't have to do this manually? And that's when we use Maven, where Maven says, okay, just give me a list of items that you want and give me the versions, and I'll download them automatically time to time if they need. And that's it, right? That's the only thing we're using Maven for. There are other things, there are other features of Maven that we can use, but we'll talk about that. So first one is Cucumber Java, right? So I'm going to click on that.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So we use Maven only for Java and IntelliJ, but is there any other dependency tool to work?
There is, but it's not just IntelliJ. IntelliJ has nothing to do with Maven, right? IntelliJ is what? A What does IDE stands for? What is IntelliJ? It's an IDE, right? And what does IDE stands for? Integrated Development Environment, right? So if you're not using IDE, IntelliJ, and you're using something else like Visual Studio or Visual Code, or you're using maybe Eclipse, right? You can still use Maven. You can still use Maven, right? So it has nothing to do with Maven has nothing to do with IntelliJ. Now, for Java, yes, for Java, Maven is a Java dependency management tool, right? If there's other language, for example, Ruby, there is a dependency management tool and it's called Bundler, right? For Python, it's called, I believe, I forgot the name of it. It's like requirement, right? Requirement. Python is called requirement. And then similar to that, every language has their own dependency management tool. There is another one, it's called NUnit, I believe. Maven and NUnit, I guess. Let's see. Maven versus Ant, sorry, ANT. Maven and Ant, these are basically competitor of each other, let's say, right? It does have exactly same thing. You can see probably some comparison going on here. The Ant scripts are not reusable, and Maven plugin are reusable, and so on. So it's just, Maven is just better. Let's just say that, right? Ant is probably older, still hasn't changed a whole lot about Ant. Gradle is another one, right? So when you go to your dependency management and you choose a specific version of framework, for example, this one, and you can see there is different management tool, dependency management tools right here, but we choose Maven is on the top, right? So Gradle and Ant and other dependency management tool, they use different way to get the same version. Everything, all of these have the same type of work, so keep that in mind. What we are telling Maven is that this is my dependency and I want 7.2.0 version downloaded at all times. That's it. So it will do that for you. So the first thing first, I'll go ahead and get the Cucumber Java to form this framework. So I get that. And already Maven is telling me, should I download this? And I will tell them not to right now. So the next one is, if I do Cucumber again, the next one is Cucumber JUnit, and we can probably get away with not using it. 7.2.3, I just want to know what version I got, 7.2.0. So I'm going to go back and see if I can get that 2.0. That's the one that I want, right? And again, you have to try to match at least between these three right here, try to match their version. So that way, you know that they're compatible. If you don't match it exactly, it will probably work. But if there is an error, then you would have to go back and change. So we're doing that to begin with, so we don't notice any error. The next one is core, so right there. So same thing, 7.2. Let's use it 2.0. So good thing is all of them, we're getting the same version. All right, so we still need Selenium. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get Selenium Java, and Selenium is crazy, right? So I'm just gonna take 3.1.1 because this is the highly used version. That means this might not have as many bugs as everywhere else, right? Even Selenium has bugs, and these are still being experimented. So I don't wanna put us through that. I'm going to go ahead and use the 3.141 as a version. And okay, so I have all of my listed items that we talked about earlier in order to create this framework. And now I would like to have Maven download everything so I can start to use. And I'm going to click on that and it will start to download all the dependencies. Notice I just created a package. This is a Java package. I just right click, new, package and I gave it a name, resources. You can give whatever you want as a name, should be fine. You can name based on, you can say features or something, right? Okay, so it seems like everything is downloaded. So let me just go ahead and see how it looks, and it looks pretty much, it looks about right. Things that we need to have, we have it. So in resource, we're gonna create our first file. This time you see cucumbers right there, but I'm gonna create it from scratch first because it does give you an option to create cucumber feature file and step sub feature. We can choose that later, but let's do it from scratch. So I'm gonna do plain file, right? Plain, and we're not creating a class, okay? So I'm gonna just say something like my first test, for example. So first test dot, we have to end it with feature. Okay, feature is the extension of this file system, right? So you click enter, and right away you see there is a cucumber logo right there. That means that your cucumber is still, your framework is pretty much capable of using cucumber, and everything seems to be good so far. The next thing that we want to do, we want to write our first test. Remember the way that you get your requirement. Let me go back in here. When you get your requirement, you get it something like this, right? Given I am on this and that, and then, right? So let's write a test for login. So first we will write feature, and then we will write scenario, right? So feature is basically, think like introduction or objective. A feature can have many scenario, okay? So each scenario is a test. So this is one test, this is the second test. Notice how you're still getting the run option right away. Feature is in a high level. You're saying in the whole file, what is your objective? So I'm going to just say, as a user, I would like to log in to the whatever, like whatever website that we're testing. So auto, something like that. So for example, as a agent user, for example, so we're gonna reuse the website that we're testing. I would like to log into the auto insurance, whatever site, in order to help my customer, for example. So I'm writing this in their point of view, right? This pretty much you can do whatever you want. This is just me trying to give them more context. This is an objective, what is going to be happening here. The first one is, if you want to do, the first scenario may be login using a valid credential. So for example, verify that user, or at least agents can log in using their valid CRED insurance, right? And go ahead, okay, I'm gonna fix that spelling there. Okay, but anyway, so given when and then, when should you use these keywords? First of all, this keyword, you can scramble them, and it doesn't change the way you write your code. It doesn't change at all. It will still run the way that you want it to run, but you want to use them more intelligently. So that way, this keyword gives them, whoever is reading your test, a sense that what it means, right? Excuse me, guys. So given keyword is meant to be used when you describe something like, I'm on the home page, I just landed here, I want to do something. When is the user action? What did you do to this page, right? And then is the outcome, right? So these three, you want to use it at that point. But what if given has more than just a single line? Then you can use and. What if when has more than just a single line? You can use and, right? You can just describe it this way. What if then has more? Then you can say and, right? And this is the way that we're going to be writing our test. Let me just go into the. Okay, so given I am on the login page, right? That's how I'm describing my test. When I enter something, I don't know what that something is, enter and, right? So that could be username. So when I enter user name, and then this could be like the password, then I should be logged in. And here we do some verification, right? Should means I at this point verification, at least in Cucumber, but this is so far just a plain English. How does the system know that this is going to run something and do something, right? So far it doesn't, right? It doesn't know how to run and things like that. Tina, you have a question?
Can I see the resources page one more time?
Resources page is not a page, it's just a package, right? It's like a folder. I just created a folder, and the way
I
you
just want to
create
see
it,
that what do you put like JUnit? I just want to see what I have to put in the dependency.
yeah. So on your Java, right, after the test, you right click new, and all you got to do is package, right? And then you just give it a name. I named the resources at this point, right? And that's it. But if you want to look at the POM, that's what we have, right? We have the
Yes, yes, that's what I
Java.
want. Yes,
Okay.
got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so these are the 4 things that we have, and as you can see that we wrote the test, but it is quite not there yet, right? You see the test is kind of highlighted already, and we'll try to run this and see what happens. So if I try to run it, it'll probably give me something, right? Let's see. Okay, run scenario, verify that agent can log in, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's see terminal. Problems. So you see it's an undefined step. This is what I'm getting, undefined, undefined. So remember what we talked about earlier today is that we write it like this, but then we still have to write the code somewhere, right? And we didn't do that. We didn't do that yet. So that's it. That's pretty much is what is talking about, and say, hey, you know, what is this undefined stuff that don't you want to provide me with some code? Like, what do you want me to do? Okay, so we're going to write some code one by one. The first is that in at least being in IntelliJ, when you click on the light bulb, it'll say, hey, you're missing the step definition. Remember we talked about step definition, and that is what we're missing. So if that is the case, I can simply just right click and create a step definition, but in this case we need to create for all of them, right? Because all 3. Okay, let's get rid of this. So to save us time, we can just click on that, create all step definition. It will say, hey, where do you want it? It giving me a suggested file name, my step def, right? Instead of my, I would like to use just the step defs, right? And that's it. Click OK. And now we have a new class somewhere here, okay? And it says pretty much a step def right here, right? So this is where we're gonna have to write our, code and things like that. But right off the bat, it is upset already, right? And if you look into the red thing, given blah blah blah, this needs to be okay. I'm gonna redo this because it doesn't look correct to me. Maybe one at a time. If it's def Java, okay, let me just go ahead and delete this for the time being. Let's do one at a time, right? So the first one way is this, right? Right click, create definition, and click there. Okay. Okay, simply the same way. Okay, that's fine. And then let's see. Let me see if I'm missing any library real quick. I know we just need this 3. Okay, Cucumber Java, Cucumber JUnit, Cucumber Pico, Cucumber. Okay, there is another one, Pico. Cucumber Container is the other one that we may end up needing here.
How about the web driver?
We got that already. 1 second, let me show you. So WebDriver is there, right? Selenium, Java. Okay. This is being upset, right? So that means we are missing a library. So I'm gonna go ahead and find that real quick and add it here. So what I'm going to do is basically just write Cucumber and then see what available. So we already had this, we added that. We also added the core. And this is something that we haven't yet. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same exact version. And then go ahead and add this here. And once I do that, I'm gonna click on Maven. Okay, so then since it's added already, public. Okay, so public is my step def, it's fine. And then given. All right. Oh, okay. Maybe you're missing this. Given at. Okay. This. Okay, we don't need this. These things we don't need actually. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this because this is not done correctly. The way that auto-generated by our IntelliJ, it's not done correctly. So we'll have to do the other way. There's another way, it's called dry run. So if I run this, right, I go ahead and run it. And it will then print it out like, okay, so let me see. It should print it out for us right here somewhere. Huh. Okay, click on run. It should give me more context, but it's not. Okay, that's good. Show this, show inspect. Okay, let's see. Yeah, before it used to tell us, let me see if I can run it directly here. Cucumber, no. See, okay, no. Okay, so the way that we need to create a step definition class, and I'm going to probably do that manually to make sure that it's fine. So Java class, and I'm going to say something like my step def. So my should be M should be capital, step DEF. So I'm just taking the same similar names that is being suggested by the IntelliJ, right? I want to enter that. Once that happened, the next thing I want to do is that we want to create a code for I am logged in. So I'm going to take this as a reference for now. And I'm going to put it to the side like this. So if I want to create it for this guy, I should start off something like this given, right? As you can see now, it's giving me a proper meaning of the given, right? So we're using Cucumber Java, so that makes sense given, and automatically given comes with a way for me to put some things in there. So now if I want to say given is already added, the next thing is this, right? Isn't it? So I'm going to say, if I say these words, that means I want something to happen. So I'm going to start by double quote. and this is a regular expression where I'm going to say, please ignore the plain English. We don't need to, and let me put a $sign at the end. And this is the regular expression to say whatever is in here, ignore that. You don't, this is not code. But if I do call this, then run code. And now we have to write the code for it, okay? Then we're gonna say public, the same way that we wrote before, void. And whenever we write a method, we have to provide a name, right? So we're gonna say, like, for example, login, and this is how the method starts, and that's it. Okay, so now it's no longer upset, everything is good. We did it from scratch. We didn't listen to the IntelliJ suggestion. The way that it was doing it, it was incorrect. So we'll have to make sure that we look into creating the way that Cucumber should work. All right, so okay, then what we do is that we need to say like driver something, right? So first thing first, we have to create driver here because we don't have a driver, right? The second is that we then visit whatever URL that we would like to visit because you're supposed to be in login page, right? So in this case, we can just say, let's see if it works. So I'm going to just say system dot out dot print ln, and just to make sure that everything is working fine, Cucumber step worked, for example, right? And let's go back in here. As you can see, the first one is no longer highlighted. The second one is. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, comment it out because we didn't write the step definition yet. And then from there, we will see. So scenario, agent, login, okay. Element class locator, different provider, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we need to look into what is stopping us to run this test. But so far, so good, right? In our case, we were able to create the step definition. So on your IDE, if you do Command B, and you'll directly land onto the definition that you have created. So if I go ahead and run it again, modify run configuration, I just want to make sure that we have the right one. When we're running it, we may be not running with, okay, so then click this, Cucumber Java. BDD, JRE, can probably choose, okay, let's see first, code coverage, log. Okay, so I didn't choose anything, I just deleted it. I think it should automatically choose the right, because we haven't provided any parameters, so it should be fine. So it says error, verify that agent can log in at the Garkin because, okay, so it doesn't understand Garkin. That's what it is saying, right? So we now have to go into the IntelliJ and say, hey, download some things, right? So for IntelliJ, we have to still download a few things because IntelliJ doesn't understand what you are trying to do, right? So let's go into the plugins, and here we have to write Garkin because that's how we are writing. Installed is there. Okay, fine. Cucumber. Garkin is already installed. Cucumber is installed. What do we miss that is kind of complaining? 1 second. We most likely missed something.
Core there?
What is it?
Core. Core.
Cucumber core. Let's see, CU MBR. Oops, okay. No, it doesn't have a plugin. Cucumber, we already installed it. Everything else we
Is it
most likely not needed. We got the Gherkin also. 1 second, let me just think for a second. So we got that JUnit, we got that also. Okay. So time to time, IntelliJ changes and we see this type of problem. So I didn't see this problem before. Let me just go ahead and create maybe a runner file where we can run this test still, but then we'll still have to fix this has nothing to do with our code. This is pretty much is fine. It's just that if I can somehow copy it, there we go. I can just probably copy this and see what this PSI element. Okay, so I'm gonna take this real quick. Then paste it in Google and it will give us a suggestion for fixing this, right? And that's the way typically you're going to be dealing with unexpected issues. So let me see what does it say online when I type this in and see what other people is facing. How do I debug blah blah blah? Okay, so that's good. Some other people has faced the same problem and they wrote directly to the company who created this IntelliJ. So seems like similar problem. So let's see what the suggestion is. Okay. Let's see. Feature stack. Okay, that's good. Let's see. I added the wrong stack trace by mistake. Okay. Issue referring along IntelliJ 2. So these update 2.2022 and more have this issue with Cucumber, unfortunately. Okay. So I might have to change the version of Cucumber to make sure that my IntelliJ is also liking the version. But let's see what other suggestion we can get from online. And this is purely unexpected, even for me, to look into what it is really. Let's see. Yeah, so our best bet at this point, instead of spending too much time, we can change the version that we would like to use for Cucumber. Okay, so let's see which version will be probably compatible at this point. Let me go ahead and try something. And this may not be, the version may not solve the issue, so we gotta give it a try. So 2.0.1 is something that I will probably go with. Let's see if that's the case, what we have here. Okay, 2.7.2. Okay, that's a way ahead, right? So let's go with the oldest version that we know. This is something that we used to okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do all of them the same version, and then we'll come back to the latest version later at some point when we find a proper fix for this. Okay, so everything has changed to 2. Except for Selenium. Selenium should be fine. And if that's not solving our issue, then we will go ahead and try to change the version of IntelliJ, because that's what we saw. IntelliJ version is the one having this issue. So go ahead and run this now. And let's see. Okay, so now you can see a pretty much a different you can see a different total different error, right? So that means probably we're good to go. It says synchronizing blah blah blah. Okay. Too many module require completion, forcing full project to rebuild. Okay, that's fine. And now it doesn't understand what this guy is, right? So import class, and because we changed the way, okay, so that's good. So we have to re-import because remember we changed the version of everything, right? So now if we do the running, it should probably give us a better way, right? And no, it didn't. So the changing of the version really didn't help, but at least it's giving us a new error message, or at least, let me see if it shows up right here. Build is completed. Okay. All right, real quick, I just need that error message. Oh, it goes away, so I just need to copy it somehow, the whole thing. Maybe that's, oh, goodness. Okay. Copied it, so I'm gonna paste it on Notepad or something, and then we will scenario verify. I just wanna, because it doesn't stay there for long, so I just wanna see what's the deal. File, user. Oh, okay. I wonder if this is because I have the F is lowercase. But let me see real quick. SRC test, and then no, but that should be fine. It's just a feature file. Okay, invalid C attachment, this scenario keyword. Okay, let's see if there's a fix. And this is not because our test is failing. This is like IntelliJ is upset about something. So let's see. There was an exception to some may have done, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay. So they don't have an answer here. Okay, this also doesn't have an answer. Huh, okay. We may have to change the version of IntelliJ in case if that's the problem, right? So I'm going to change it for now. Because yes, we want to fix this issue for future. Let's see, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes for me to fix this issue, and if that's the, as you can see, like this issue has not been fixed. People opened up bugs right here, and nobody has. Okay, this is a see this. Okay, even if I click on this ticket because somebody opened up a ticket with the JetBrain, which is the company who is responsible for making this fix, and they don't have it. So it's likely that we have to go with a specific version of IntelliJ, at least to make this work. And I'm going to see which version we should go with at this point. And first of all, I got to pull out like older version. And somebody's mentioned about 2.0 and being lower than that will work. So let's just see which one we want to go with. Okay, so 2020, and this started happening in 2020. So we got to go back maybe less than 2020. So 2020, this, okay, And now this, I think this version should be fine because we saw on one of the forums somebody mentioned about 2020.2 where is the issue is. So we're gonna go back here and this should at least be fine. So I'm gonna create on this guy for Mac OS and I'm gonna install it. I'm gonna remove the other one and just check. And would you fix this at work? And I would say we don't have a fix for it, right? So there is no other way to deal with this problem rather than using a older version of IntelliJ, unfortunately, because the way, let me see, copying, okay, that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and replace, and that's what I wanna do. If I wanna replace, I'm gonna have to go ahead and remove this from my screen first, because I can't, it doesn't do a replacement without it. Quit, so I'm gonna quit all of it. Okay, so I removed my IntelliJ and I was able to like do this. I'm gonna just do it one more time to see, show you guys. And you see replace, so I replace it with the very older version of IntelliJ. And once this is done, we should be able to see this issue. At least this issue should be resolved in this case. That's the assumptions that I made, like, because somebody did mention that 2020.2 has this issue. So, so we're gonna give it a try with the lower version. Okay, so now I'm gonna open up my IntelliJ. And then if you do that, you can see that there is projects that you worked in the past. So you can just select the one that you want. So you want to open. And okay, once everything is loaded, I'm gonna run and see we come across the same issue or not. Okay, cucumber something. So this is definitely different, right? Error could not find a load to main class. So still we need to make sure that everything is loaded properly. And core CLI main. So core is not being loaded for some reason. Do we even have core in here? Core is there. Okay. I'm gonna rebuild this real quick. And then I'm gonna go back in here and I'm gonna do run, edit configuration. Oh, sorry. Edit configuration and remove this. Apply, okay, and then I'm gonna run it. Starting, okay. And there we go, and it worked. So the assumptions that I made, it's correct. The reason why we had to switch between version is because there is not a proper fix from the company yet, right? And I had to change the run configuration to default before making it work. Okay, so now I'm on the login page. It should be something that just cucumber work. That's not what we want. We want to be able to go somewhere, right? So let's say, for example, the first thing is open browser. Right? That's the first thing we need to do. And so in order to do that, remember, we have to say something like WebDriver. Driver is equal to something, right? New Chrome driver, okay? And I'm gonna put this driver outside right here so I can reuse that later.
I have a quick question. So Cucumber, like just to verify, it's just to make everything look cleaner in a sense,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, cleaner and readable, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
You can probably use this as a document, like your test is running, but also it can be used as a document to say, okay, all of our test cases are documented. You can go to the feature files and read plainly, right?
Yeah, in like in regular English.
Yeah. So now, as you can see from here, how do I get there so quick? It's Command B, Control B for your Windows. And it brings me right to the step definition that I'm just creating. So in here, I got to write my code just like what we talked about earlier, right? We wrote the steps. Now we're writing the code for step definition. So the first thing, driver.this, and then I can say driver.get something for me, right? Which is, in our case, we need to provide an URL. So say we just go to Google at this point, right? So even if I go to Google, right, I will go and, oh, sorry. I will still go to Google and copy the URL. I will not just type it in, because when you type it in, there may be a few things you'll miss, and at the end, it will not work like the way that the URL is. So now if I run this, and we're gonna see a very similar or familiar problem, right? And we have to solve it the way that we solved it before. So I'm gonna ask you guys the first suggestion here. So the similar problem that we always face at the very beginning of our framework, it says WebDriver.Chrome driver is not found, and it needs to be in the path, right? Whatever it is. And that's the problem that we're facing, right? So in this case, we need to provide, before you go into the driver, you need to say something like this, system. System, look at my computer, it got slow. Yeah. Dot set property, and then first thing, and the second. You guys remember what this parameter is? The first and the second?
Yep, WebDriver dot drive from dot driver.
And then the second one?
We need to download the Chrome driver.
Okay, so before we download it, I want to make sure that I have the right version. I will click on my Chrome, about Chrome driver, and I can see it's 99.9. So it has to match. So I'm going to go ahead and say download Chrome driver. And I will do that today. We'll probably do something with Google rather than anything else. So 99.0, that's what I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and download Chrome driver. And once it's finished downloading, I'll click on it and open it up. And once I have this, I can say, okay, you know what, let me place it somewhere nicely, right? So new directory, I'm gonna say drivers, and then just go ahead and dump it in there. Let's see. Is this something very difficult for you guys to understand? Like, I just want to make sure that I'm not going too fast. Because the reason, the way that I'm going is that we already covered a lot of things about automation before, right? Let me go ahead and delete the, okay. Okay, refactor and boom. And now that we have it here, I'll right click on it, copy path, and I just need the content root. That's all I need. That's it. Now, if I do this, if I run this line, let's see if it works. Okay, so the first time it runs on Mac, it will probably create some problems. So you can see opening browser, at least I know that up to that line worked. And then it's still working on the second line. So if I do this, I already know that line number 14 worked, right? Line number 15 is it's working on right now. And let's see, it says timed out, server to start, blah, 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 okay. Driver, cucumber this, okay. I hope it's not the version related. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my setting because when you first configure your driver, you have to, at least for the Mac users, you have to go into this thing, security and privacy, and to make sure that there is no warning in here. Okay, and in the case, okay, this is the driver. Okay, that's the web driver. Okay, I go and run this one more time. Build. Go ahead and click on edit configuration. Cleaned up everything and run it one more time. He's trying to open it. Let me look at version actually. So I got the 99.048. And then which version of Chrome that I am using. 999.048. Okay. 484451. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I have. Okay. Okay, so let's look at that real quick. Build version is this. Driver version. So it's complaining about the driver version, right? And I just don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a new driver because we don't spend too much time onto something that we can just get a new driver instead. Okay. So I don't know where I clicked. Maybe I clicked on the wrong place. Okay, yeah, that's what I did. All right, I'm gonna click on this one. Okay. Sometimes even I make mistakes that are silly, like this one. I should have just get it from the most recent. Okay. So I'm going to replace that one with the new one. Indexing. Okay. Let me just go ahead and delete this real quick. And vector. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it. Okay, hopefully it's not timing out. I don't know what it is that is going on wrong today. It's like everything is giving me a hard time to set up. Okay. Okay, so system host is this, okay, Mac OS version is 10, okay. Mac this, okay, Mac OS, let me just get it one more time to make sure that I do have the current. It's got to be driver related issue, and I'm going to move it down to, I don't have to, I shouldn't have to move it, actually, it should be working. Okay, and then Chrome driver slash driver, okay. Driver slash Chrome driver, and that should be good. Okay. Let's see. Run, edit configuration, this. Apply run. Okay. Chrome driver. Okay, so Selenium timeout. Wait for driver server to start. Okay, so this is maybe the, I'm gonna change the version of Selenium because remember how we downgraded our Cucumber to be such a low number? And this could be one of the reason. I cannot pinpoint and tell you exactly that's the problem, but I'm gonna try that to make sure that it is working fine with the version. Let's see. All right, let's see which version of Selenium. So in this case, I'll probably go with 3.6. We got which Selenium 3.14. So not a lot by difference. So I'm gonna say 3.6.0. That's what the suggestion is. Okay, yeah. It's not a huge difference, right? Because we're only going down by 1 or 2, so we're fine. So this is a good thing that if you do feel whenever you update one thing, you have to make sure that other dependencies are going to work well with that version. That's how you're going to have to go with whenever you do anything at all. Okay, let's go ahead and run it real quick. Looks like same issue. I want to restart this thing and then disconnect. All right, BDD framework. I just don't understand on a second. Even though, let me just refresh this real quick.
Bhaiya, can it be like you downloaded a different version of Chrome driver now? So the you did the copy path, it's different now in the system set property.
Let's see. No, because it will tell me if that's the case, it should, right? Let's see which one we're talking about. So you see drivers, that's the location, right? This is where we put it.
Yeah, can it be changed because you downloaded a different? I mean, the new one.
The name is same, right? So it shouldn't be a problem. So let me do absolute path. I'm gonna do absolute path still, but it shouldn't make any big difference. Let's see. Most likely IntelliJ is, okay, JDK is there. So I'll go ahead and see.
Is there any issue to work old version of IntelliJ and new version of Chrome driver?
That shouldn't be the problem, but let's see. We may have to try another version of IntelliJ. IntelliJ is the, let's see. I'm gonna download another version really quick. Okay. I like the previous error message, which is fine. Let's see if they're getting the latest now. We probably didn't have the latest, so hopefully they fixed it by the latest one. So I'm gonna close this real quick. And then quote, okay, quote IntelliJ. Okay. Let me remove IntelliJ from my computer first. I want to get the latest one now. If it works with latest, then you guys don't have to make any changes when you work with this new framework. So IntelliJ. The worst case is we will just go over the materials in case if it doesn't work. And then we'll have to do another class on showing you guys how to work with Cucumber. But again, even our final project is going to be in Cucumber. Everything that we'll be doing from here on, test automation will be in Cucumber. So I may do another class if this doesn't work out well. We'll do a break. It's 12:26, 12:30. We'll do a break, and then we'll come back at 1. So let's see in the meantime if I can make this work. Oh, okay. It was actually all this time. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys something. When you see this, which I wasn't seeing because I'm using 2 screens, and this showed up in my other screen. So it was working. It's just that this warning, we had to click cancel. And we had to then go into, because this happens on Mac, and you'll probably notice that Chrome driver was blocked. So you have to click allow, right? And after that, it should work.
Here is one question for me, because
Yeah.
when you install the Chrome driver, if you use the first time installation, you can show this message. But right now you're not first time. You did several times. But why this?
No. This is first time for me because remember, this is a new framework, right? Every time.
That's why. Okay, understand.
Yeah. If it's a new framework, that means I installed the Chrome driver for it for you guys, right? So the chances of the older version of the IntelliJ is that it worked fine. It's just that I didn't see the message because I didn't click on it and it was hidden for me. I didn't see it before. So let me just go and run it right here because we updated our IntelliJ to the latest at this point. And hopefully you guys will not see the issue. And now it's running fine. So, okay. So you see what right here, this is immediately it's throw this. I'm going to say open. Okay. And now it should probably open up the browser and go to Google. There we go. Okay. So all this time, the issues that we're seeing with IntelliJ is actually my fault because the warning that I'm supposed to see, normally I would see it if I was using a single window, but I have 2 different screens going on here. So it showed up in the other screen and I didn't pay attention. So just keep that in mind. And in Cucumber, whenever test runs, it has this check mark on the left side. And because it passed, and just for the tracking purposes in IDE. All right, so now with that said, we know that it goes to Google. What about the remaining two? And you can do a dry run real quick. I'm gonna run it real quick this time and see what's the deal. And I'll give you guys the version. You know what? I'll give you guys the pom.xml, the whole file, so you don't make the same mistake with different version. All right. So what it does dry run means is that when I ran it, I know that I created a step definition for number 8, but I didn't do it for number 10 and number 9 and 10, right? And it's highlighted, and your IntelliJ is telling you like, hey, this is what you have. When you run it, even if you have this type of highlight, IntelliJ knows to give you some suggestions. So it says, hey, you're missing some code. So here is the template. You can use this template to write new steps. So I'm going to copy these templates. I'm going to go into my step definition, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. And that's it. So these are the two templates that I will have to use. And it gave me some example code, which we really don't need. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this code, line of code. Okay. And then this is this. And then you see, notice how everything seems like red and upset. You click on it and you import. And you click on it, and then you have to do the same thing. Import the class, and it's no longer red and upset because this is what you need to import. Anytime you mess up something here, you can just go ahead and get rid of that and then just import again. You don't have to type it in, you see right here. One second. Hover, if you hover over it, it will probably give you the option. Okay, hover, there we go. All right, so it says write some code, write some code. So we're gonna write some code in here to make sure that our steps, this and this works. So notice how this is fine so far, right? So before we do that, let's take a break. When you guys come back, we just finished writing the framework in a high level, meaning it is a lightweight framework. We can definitely make it better, but we built the framework already. It's working right now. It's in working condition with the latest of latest IntelliJ, and then we will then upgrade at some point. We'll upgrade libraries to the latest, but for now these versions are working fine for us. So we'll keep it as is until the next class. But for now, I'll say take a half-an-hour break. So we'll be back at 1. When you guys come back, we're gonna write 2 more test cases as an example with Cucumber. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Please
Yeah.
make recording. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. So let me just go real quick again, right? So we're creating this Google search test, right? We have a definition right here. We got a suggestion after doing a dry run, and we copied this and we pasted right here. And now we have to write our code. The first thing we did, this is a regular expression. We don't modify this because what we're saying, we want to type something inside when we use it. And these data should be coming in right here, flowing through. So the word has a meaning where the word comes from. So this word, we're going to basically use it. So we're going to say driver.find element in this case. And we're going to say by, and I'm going to say name because we just saw what name is over there. And in this case, it says name is Q. So I'm going to say Q right there and done, right? This is going to be, okay, import that. So this is the thing. Now this is a web element. Oh, it's not name field, sorry, it's the search field is equal to this. All right, then I'm gonna say search field dot send keys. I would like to enter whatever in this word is, so enter that. And then I would like to say search field dot send keys, and I want to send character, right? Special characters. How do I do that? CAR. One second. We need a simple Googling. So we can probably use the cheat code. Not everything that people can remember, right? So Selenium, enter, keyboard, character, CAR, something like that. Keyboard, key, enter. Okay, so Selenium, keyboard, enter, right? Something like that. Typing return in keyboard. So the reason why you want to type, like why after typing it here, right, in Google, after you type something in here, you have to enter, right, in order to see the results. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I typed it already with line number 47. Line number 48, I want to click enter. And now I'm Googling to see how do I press enter with Selenium. It says keys and return. So that's what I kind of, so same works. So we get a keys dot, sorry, K is probably capital. So keys and then dot RE, enter, I believe enter or return one, either one is gonna work. There we go, enter. And this is how you're supposed to type in, right? So now in this case, this is missing. So whatever I type here should enter, right? So let's say we say Apple laptop, right? Whatever I typed in here is going to go ahead and enter. So go ahead and write. And this is gonna confuse you, but well, I'll explain to you. Okay, so it did the Apple and then it did the search, okay? So just know that. All right, so then instead of I should be logging in, as I should say I should see result. So when you Google search testing, right, you need to also see that once you search with Apple, you should also see Apple somewhere on the page, right? Now I'm gonna go ahead and create a sub definition. You see, same one. And now you see how I did it without having to, I'm gonna go get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of this and show you guys the second way to create the same sub definition. You guys catching? So the first way was dry run, right? The second way, I can just simply click on this guy and say create sub definition. I can choose which folder, which file that I want to put it to. I'll put it into the resource because that's what we're using. Okay, and same code just in here. And we don't need this 2 lines to just write our code directly. So far, so good.
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
I would like to make sure that, like, you know, you have the first thing you did, like download the IntelliJ latest version, I mean, old version, then the latest. So I just want to make sure that I don't have to do anything else. It was all right? All
Yeah,
I
it
can
was
work on the latest
fine.
one, everything.
Yeah, so Windows people will not see a problem because the problem was the reason why I was seeing all these issues and I was assuming that the version was the case is because I have 2 screens right here and the
Yes,
the pop-up was
saw
showing
it.
into the other one. Yeah. And for Mac users, if you do this type of things, you just have to click OK and then set up the way you set up initially with your first framework, and you should be fine. But you shouldn't have any issues with this. What I will do on the what I will do is that some of you guys struggling with Cucumber, I will do a second class. You know, between the I guess Monday to Tuesday, just like last time, to make sure that you guys are up to speed. So
Okay,
first
so
thing
I just
first.
want just a quick question. So you know the prom XML. So did you made any change? Or it was all
Pom.xml,
right?
no,
Yeah.
we just using the lower version. The version has changed. We're still using Java, we're still using JUnit, we're still using this Cucumber PI container and Cucumber core, sorry, Cucumber core somewhere here. And that's about it. right? Nothing else. It's-
Okay, got it.
What I will do to make you guys make your life easy is probably gonna share this pom.xml so you guys can use the same. You can copy paste this to get up to speed real quick instead of going out in the website. So I'll give you all the dependencies that you need to begin with.
These dependencies we always have to download, or let's say at work it's already built in, or how does it work?
You need it for the first time, right? So let's say this project, you just got into the project and they gave you this repository. You go into pom.xml, you just click on build the project, it will automatically put everything in place, because whoever built the framework, they have the pom.xml where they listed all the dependencies. So all you have to do is pretty much build the project and you're good to go. You can probably right click in here, and if there's a Maven option right here, Maven, and then you see you can do reload, Maven reload project and things like that. So you must have to you might have to reload a couple times, or at least the first time before you run test. Every time they change this, it will sense it and say, hey, there is a change to the dependencies. So do you want to reload? And then you will be able to reload.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, we don't need to we don't need to change the IntelliJ. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to.
Thank you.
All right. So, and then if you guys have any struggle, like I said, I'll be happy to do another class and see your problem and give you guys help, because this may not be straightforward for some people, right? Okay, so let's finish this test case. We search for Apple laptop. We should see the result for Apple laptop. So if I go into the step definition right now, it doesn't check anything. We do have assert. We do have a new assert, which is we're using, let's see, assert J, which is another way to do assertions. Assertion means you're going to be verifying something. So we're going to use assert J today. So let's see. So assert J, let's see, ASSERT. And you see, we got the JUnit default. We got the assertion from Cucumber. So we can literally choose which one we want that from. So let's do Cucumber, right, assertions. And you see it's upset, but when I click on this, I can probably have different methods that I would like to assert with. But we know JUnit, so we can even do JUnit if we want to. Let's see, assume blah, blah, blah. So many things going on, right? So let's go ahead and use something that we are, this assertion is not for here, right? So we'll use that at some point. So I'm gonna choose JUnit and then assert equal. Instead of assert equal, I'm gonna say assert true, because this is a Boolean that we're gonna say. And what I would like to do is that I'm gonna make a big assumptions for my test to pass, is that if on Google, if I search for Apple laptop and anywhere else other than here shows Apple laptop, then I should be fine, right? So now if I say the whole page, if I see Apple laptop, then your test will never fail. Tell me why. Anybody want to tell me why it will never fail? Never, ever. Even if this page shows a blank result, it will never fail. If I say the whole page, look and tell me if you see anywhere the text Apple laptop.
In the search bar?
Yeah, because it's already showing up right here. It will still count this, right? So we want to exclude that. Anywhere else showing Apple laptop, we should be fine. So for example, one of the assumptions you can make and say, okay, if it shows this website because we're searching for Apple, then you're good to go. But then it is not reusable, because not every search will show on the first thing. So what I will do, I will say, okay, I'm going to cover a specific area. Okay, so if I click this, now this means the whole page. I'm going to go into that, and this means the nav page. This means the bottom page, right? So if I say anywhere in here shows Apple laptop, then I think I should be fine. So I'm going to copy this ID. It does have an ID. I'm going to see if it's unique, if this ID is unique or not. It's really not unique, so we're gonna have to use maybe the class name. So again, go inside. Okay. This is the style. Okay. So notice how it highlights, and let me go ahead and fold it down. Just trying to find the right area. Okay, let me just do a refresh real quick because I lost it. Okay, so do it again. If I click on here, it will tell me like at least the container. Okay, this is the high level. Okay, this is that, and this is the whole first one. And I'm just gonna keep going up until I find the parent, like the whole area. This is the tab. So this is the whole page. This is the middle side.
Is there any rules to find out the unique ID?
You just have to use your best judgment, because it's not about, like, every website is different, so there is no rule. For example, here, if you say the first one, TADS, right? Basically, this is the ID of it. If you say, okay, if I see anything in here with Apple Laptop that I want to consider that as a pass, right? Then you can also do that. But what I'm trying to do is that I want to make sure that below the whole entire page, if there's Apple Laptop, then I want to consider that as a passing. There we go. Okay, this is it. So this is below and not counting this. That's what I wanted to get. So class name is this, and you always have to make sure that it's unique. So ID, I believe this is unique, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and dot this. Oh, so this is an ID, it's not a dot. Okay. If it's an ID, you put a hashtag in front of it, and you can see if it's unique or not. So this is not a unique one. So if I do a class name in front, so I can combine just more than one. Okay, so this was it. I'm gonna see the class name real quick. One of two, same thing, not unique. The rule here is that it has to be unique. So how do I make this unique? We can do two ways. Let's see. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the area. So I selected it. This is the area. I'm gonna right click, copy, and now I can do XPath or I can do selector. So I'm gonna do the selector real quick. At least for you guys, it's gonna be easier. And once I did that, notice like it still didn't give me the unique. But the reason why it gave me this as a selector is because it was an ID, and ID is always assumed to be unique. So, but in this case, it's not going to work. So always make sure that you're testing it in the bottom to make sure it will work. So now what I can probably do is take this guy. This is the inner ID. So maybe this is unique. Hopefully that is the case. Is that an ID? Oh yeah, that is an ID. One of two. No, this is still not unique, right? So we're still gonna be looking for the unique ID, in this case, unique value. So this one, you see like how there is a clue to this, right? You'll see like when you do this, and on the top, do you see div hashtag rcn.gyaewb on the top? We can actually use that. And I'll tell you why you want to use that is because this represents the bottom part of this page, but also, any question? Okay, Also, like if you have understanding, div is the container and hashtag means RCNT is an ID and dot means GYAEB is a class. So we could have done the same ourselves. So I'm gonna say div hashtag R. We gotta go back to this guy and we can write this even though we saw how it looked like right there. And so this is that. And the next thing is even without putting the class name, we are seeing the unique value. So GYAB, something like that. So the other thing I want to see if even if I type another something else, and I should see this element is on the page and it's there, which is great. Otherwise, otherwise our test would not be accurate, right? But one thing that I'm noticing is also covering this area, right? And that's where the problem. Okay. So in this case, we may have to look for another thing. Container information role, okay, ID. Yeah, this is the area. Okay, that's fine. This should actually work. Okay. So now I'll go in here and I'll say driver dot find element, and I want to find this specific element by .css because that's what we have. And this is the guy, right? And we're gonna say something like yeah, Boolean at this point be text match, right? So text, you're trying to do text matched into the page, and once you have this, you notice like it's upset because we didn't throw anything yet. So we're gonna say dot include or dot let's see, dot get page source maybe.
So how many ways to make assert?
There is a lot of ways, and I cannot give you an exact number, but we will go ahead and learn as much as we can with that.
So every possible award is assert is different ways, right?
Yeah, it depends
Like,
what you need.
Like when we make Selenium WebDriver, we use string for assert. Now we use Boolean for assert, right?
So yeah, there is.
When we make
then
true
I
or
can
false.
tell you. Yeah, then I can tell you how many asserts, right? So if you do ASSERT dot, and you can see that you can do true, equal, true, and then obviously false. You can see false. You can do same. You can do null. You can do assert that. So these are the ones available options for you to use for assertion. All right, so guys, for Boolean, it will not work. We need to do exact text match in here because few things. If I did say Boolean, then it will still choose from the page source, right? It will probably get the page source. Okay, let me show you guys. So I got that, and then I can do my get page source, and it's not working. This method is not going to work because this is not the way we should be working with this method. So good. Let's see, get location, get value, and you see this is not going to give us what we need. So let's see what else ways that we can make it work. All right, so let's search for a laptop again. Okay, and then we want to make sure that laptop shows up somewhere here. I think the good assumption would be if we can see like for example this is greater than the expected value or something, at least the result, right? Maybe that's probably better way to go with. So we're gonna go ahead and click this ID and see it's unique. This ID seems like unique to me already, but I'm gonna go ahead and test it to make sure it's worth. So 2 matches, I'm gonna put a hashtag in front, 2. So it does have 2 ID, and I just want to make it unique. So if that's the case, this has a div on the front. So I'm going to put a div. And now this is unique, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the text from this ID first, okay? And see the the number. And then I will say, okay, the number should be this and that, okay? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and replace this with this. And I'm going to say, get me the text, get text. And in order to create the assertions, I need to make sure that once I get the text, I want to see what it is looks like. So let's do a print and see how it looks like before we can even do anything.
It's ID or CSS selector?
This is a CSS selector, this one.
Okay.
And now I got to put this somewhere, right? So if I'm getting this, then I'm going to say string result, Google result or something like that. Go ahead and print this and see what it is that it's showing us, and then we go from there. Okay, let's run it. So let's see what is the count for Apple laptop. What is the result to that, and then we will do an assumption, right? Okay, let's see what it prints. All right, so it print about this much, right? This many, right? So if I have, let's say, now I would like to convert this into a integer, so I can do and say, if it's more than 2, is it like billion, right? 2 billion, I believe. 2,960,000,000. Okay, that is a billion. Okay, so if I say if it's more than 2 billion, because this number is never gonna change, it's never gonna be matching, right? The whole number. It's because why? It's because like maybe somebody created a new website for Apple laptop just now somewhere in the world, right? So right now the matching is so right now the result is 2960. Let's see, 2960. Do another search. 2960000. Okay. Okay, it hasn't changed. Nobody created a website yet. Okay, but the problem is the moment I search for something else, the number changes, so I cannot reuse it, right? So this is the number change. So the assumption is if it's more than, let's say 1 billion result, then we will say, okay, it worked. For some, I mean, we can make some assumption. We can ask the business guy and say, okay, what would you say as a passing if it has this many results and things like that? So in this case, like let's say we're making a assumption here and say if the search result has anything more than like, you know, like couple million, let's keep it to the millions, then we're good to go, right? If it has billion, okay, great. But if it has million, that means it cannot be wrong, right? If you are searching for this keyword, it does return something. So that's the way we're gonna go. Then the next thing is, we know Google search result is the whole thing is a string. How do we get only numbers out of a string? So we're gonna do something like this, like Java, because this comes with you need some Java skills to do that. Java get all numbers from string, and now you will do some abstract numbers from a Java string. So notice this is a string, and then you're replacing everything with the numbers, right? Use this code, number only will contain desired output. So in this case, if I just do this, it will keep numbers and remove everything with nothing. So you see, I'm saying keep anything that has number, but anything that doesn't have, just go ahead and remove it with nothing, right? Empty string there. Okay, so we're using in this case replace all. So you're replacing anything else but numbers. That's what you're saying right here. Okay, so in this case we don't need this because we already have the string to work with, and this is called Google. Okay, so numbers only is this. So if I print out this, in this case, numbers only, and then we can run it and see what it is. All right. And in this case, notice this is the first one that printed. The second one is just number, right? You see, even the Google search changed. So that's why we cannot stick to the same number. We can come up with a probability and say, okay, 2 million, 2 billion, 3 billion results means this keyword is a good keyword and it's working fine. Now that we have numbers only, this numbers only needs a little bit more work because this is still a string. Okay, this is still a string. So in order to compare and say this number is greater than this and that, we need to convert that into an integer. But this number is so big is that we need to make sure that we use double or something, right? We use something that has a greater amount, right? Otherwise it's not gonna work, right? So let's say again we go back to Google and say Java large number, and then I mean we learned that already, right? Data types, we learned the data types already. So notice we have ints only goes up to this much, 2 billion, and that's it, right? 2 billion. It cannot go to 3 billion. And as you can see, we have more than that, way more than that. So in this case, there is one, it's called long. So let me go into the data types actually. And we got the long, we got the double. So in this case, I think we have to use the long. Let me just go into the right here. Long is huge, right? So we have to use long. So we take a string. Now the next thing is, this is still is in string, number only. We convert that into long. So I'm gonna say string convert to long, right? And this is in Java. Now it says how to do it. It's right here. And it says long parse long, right? So we can do it many possible ways, but let's see. In our case, we're taking long, use long value of, okay. Okay. So this is how we are going to be doing it. This is like the way that you want to output, right? The returns will be this way compared to, so we want maybe, let's see which one we want to choose. Okay. For 50, I would like this one actually. 102. So you see, like it's only going to do the first 3 digits with L on it. Okay, so there's some decisions to be made. This will probably be better. So we print as many as numbers as we need to. So that way we can at least do some visualization. Let's see what else we have as a suggestion. So this is how this guy is showing you how to use. You see long L and then this, right? So we'll probably print this out and see how it looks like. All right. So now long L. So in this case, we're gonna say convert to long. And again, why do we use long? Why are we using long in this case? After we get the numbers only. And I'm gonna say again, print it. So nobody here can answer this question. Why you use it long?
Because it has more than 3 billions, like it's large.
Yeah. So integer can go up to 2 billion something, right? 2 billion and some change. And we have a search result with such a big number that we have to use long, which is great to see because at least, so you see it printed the whole number, which is great. This is what we wanted to do. The first one is a string, the second one is not, is a long value. So now I can say, I can compare long at this point, right? And we can say like, if this value is greater than this, then we're good to go. So let's go ahead and compare. So I'm going to say expected result. So I'm going to say long expected value, at least for the result, is equal to, let's say 3 billion, right? So at least let's say, okay, 1 billion, let's say. So we just take this number, maybe like put it right here. We don't need all this 0, 0. And the first one is 1, 0. So that's like 1 billion. Integer number, it's not an integer. Okay, I think it's like this way. Yeah. 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 So we're saying this is the number that we want to compare. Now we can see, we can do the comparison here. Now we can basically say assert, and we can say dot assert true, and we can say that the convert to long should be more than the expected value. And that's it. This is your assertion. You had to go through all this just to be able to compare. You couldn't have done it here because initially you got only the string, right? Once you took the number out of the strings and you only have number, this was still a string because you only took out the number value, but data type didn't change. Here you change the data type to long, and then you're comparing with the long value. Okay, so let's run it real quick. Okay, and now it's passing, right? We got all this output going on. Do we need this extra one? We don't really need it. So this is the same. So if we don't need this thing, I should see result with expected, I don't know, like number, right? So your number is at least, so what assumptions you're making is that at least whatever you're searching will have a bare minimum 1 billion search record from Google, right? That's what you are assuming. So now you see like this one is upset, so we have to fix it. So should expected number, your expect number at least minimum 1 billion. So you can make that into maybe like a, yeah, that's fine. That's, I mean, we already put it right here is the 1 billion. So now what if you want to search for other things and it has minimum 1 billion, right? We can convert this into a scenario outline. We'll do that right now. See, we're going to search. The first one was Apple. The second search, I want to do like, let's say Mac or something. I don't know. You guys give me some keyword that will have at least 1 billion. Maybe Samsung, right? Because that's Samsung. Yes. Okay, Samsung will definitely have 1 billion plus, right? So if I run it now, this is again scenario outline. The idea is that 12, 13, and 14 is going to run once for each. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. So what I'm going to do also, I'm going to go ahead and I close the browser, okay? And create this. All I have to do is driver dot close. That's it. Now let's run this and see what happens. Okay, Apple laptop the first time, just count for me, and then the second time, Mac laptop. Okay, the third time, it's running with Samsung, and boom. Okay, so all three tests just ran, and for some reason it failed. Okay, let's see why is it failing. Okay, so Chrome driver, only one connection allowed, and I'm opening like so many Chromes. I'm gonna remove some of these Chromes actually. So if I click on this and I get force quit right here, you see how many Chrome I have open right here? So if you're a Mac user, you can do this, what I'm doing. All this Chrome force quit. Okay, cool. So got rid of all of that. Let's go ahead and run it now and see, shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I see the problem here. We should probably do driver.quit. So what is happening like one after another? For 3 scenario, it's not even closing the browser. So I'm gonna do the driver.quit. So it'll quit the driver because that's where the confusion is. Okay. For some reason, it didn't close the browser, which you should have, but okay. Quit should do the work now. So the first one runs, it should quit right after that. Okay, it's done. Remove. It didn't remove it. Okay. You see, it's doing everything in the same browser. And that's where the problem is, because it's complaining about the okay. I want to see why is it not working. Driver.quit. Okay, I'm gonna see driver.close and driver.quit. Okay, and it should probably do it, but let's see. Yeah, it's not doing it. You can see right here that the reason why I'm seeing so many error force quit, and you can see all this browser still there, right? So I need to see why this is not working. I close the browser. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Okay, that's it. Driver is the same driver right here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna update the Selenium now since we didn't have any problem before. I can only think of Selenium issue here, right? Because Selenium is the one responsible for closing the driver, and it didn't. So that's what I can think of, and I'm gonna upgrade it to the latest. All right, and then I'll just go to the latest, whatever. Let's give it a try. Why not? Update. Okay, so update is done. Go ahead and run this. Okay, so the latest Selenium worked, but it's just still not doing this thing. I just wanna maybe then I should use then instead of and. Maybe Selenium doesn't know what and is. Okay, I'm gonna use then the keyword. It's very strange because that's not the way it should work. And okay, so let's see real quick examples. The reason why we use Selenium scenario outline is because we want to pass more than just one data in order to run the same. So every time we have 3 here, and this is the header of the table, it will run 3 times, and you can see it running 3 times. It's just that I'm trying to close the browser. It's not. Let's see. Driver.close, driver.quit, both is in there. And exception, let's see. I should see. Oh, okay.
I have a question
now
here.
Yeah.
Okay. We search for Apple laptop. It's okay, but why it works for Mac laptop and Samsung? Because we don't put any data for the Mac and Samsung.
Yes. The thing is that we're assuming that if Apple laptop has 1 billion search result, we're assuming that Mac will have the same and the Samsung will have the same 1 billion. We're only asserting the numbers of result, right? Remember? Okay, now I know why it happened. Now I know why the closed browser didn't work. It's because when it's failing on so it's failing on number 9. It never reached number 10. Okay, and it ran again and again. So we need to see why is it failing. For number 9, it says that, let's see if I go up a little bit. Okay, so right here, resource, okay. I should see search result expected number, that's where it failed. Okay, is declared with 1 parameter, however, the Gherkin has 0 argument, okay? So what's happening is that if I go in right here and we have this dollar sign is used for sending a parameter with this, something like that, but it doesn't have, oh, sorry, right here, actually, and then right here, this is the parameter that we shouldn't be using parameter at this point because we don't need the parameter, right? Because we're not passing anything. This is the parameter that we pass, and we have it for this one. And this was the problem to begin with. So let's give it a run, and then we'll see this time what happens. Okay, so notice it closed the driver. And notice it closed the second driver, and then the third one, Samsung, closed the third driver. Okay, and all 3 is passing. Okay, so all 3 is passing. So anything with less, for example, let's say it should not pass, right? Because it's not. So give me something that doesn't have 1 billion search result, right? So for example, you work for Google and they said, okay, we know these keywords at least have 1 billion search result. And the business give you the keyword, and then you write this script, and now you're able to run the keywords. All you have to do is keep adding it right here, okay? Something could be with less than like 1 billion, right? In this case. So let's say, any other phones, maybe something like Cricket, I don't know, Cricket phone. Cricket phone should be like at least less than 1 billion, at least what I would think. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this. The first time it ran, the second time, Mac, same thing. Third time, Samsung. Fourth time is Cricket phone. And oh, okay, 676 million, but not a billion. Okay. And now we see a fail, right? And we have to see where that fails. You see 4 scenario and 2 fail and 2 pass. Okay. That means, okay, let's see. Unable to locate. One is unable to locate this guy. So we need to put some weight, explicit weight. So we have to say wait for this guy before even giving me a result. So that's one fix. The second issue is, let me go into the second issue. Okay. Assertion error, and this is what we need to see. Let's see if it gives us a good suggestion or anything like that. Okay. The second one is assertion error. So we know that this didn't show the right number. So let's fix the first issue. The first issue is that it says this, right? How do we do explicit weight? Again, go to Selenium explicit weight. When you do explicit and implicit, right? In Selenium, we do explicit weight, and it's before waiting for an element. Implicit is basically on the driver level, right? So let's do explicit first. We're learning explicit in the beginning. And all we are doing is that in this case, let me go into that. We're saying that right here, wait for the, at least for this one, wait until the driver is, at least the driver is there, right? So driver is being created, you're waiting 20 seconds, up to 20 seconds. It doesn't mean solid 20 seconds, it's just that if it takes 1 millisecond, then it will still continue, right? So similar to that, we're gonna say that we wanna wait for a web element, right? Implicit wait for the web element. For example, let's see if there is any good example here. Selenium implicit, Selenium explicit wait with Selenium. Okay, browser stack is giving you something. Okay, so again, in Selenium WebDriver, we have 3 different type of waits, right? And we're just learning implicit first. Sorry, explicit. Explicit is when you wait for the element before you do anything. So in this case, notice like it says, I cannot find this element. It's because it didn't wait for it. It's basically right away looking for this thing and it didn't find it. It may take extra seconds to load and it didn't wait for it. So in this scenario, you can use explicit wait. Implicit wait is already done by default, is 30 seconds in the driver level. So the syntax is this: driver.manage timeout, and then implicit wait 10 for the implicit. And this goes into your driver, right? So implicit wait will also help. So this is happening exactly at the driver level before even, and let me do the import. Okay, this is happening in the driver level. You're saying 10 seconds you would like to wait before raising an error. So this may fix our issue, but we would like to be more solid, right? This is your implicit wait again. Implicit wait will wait for anything else. You don't have to be very specific, like I want this, I want that. You don't have to be. But explicit wait, you have to be very specific what you are waiting for. So in this case, we're using the search result, so we want to wait for the search result, right? So I'm gonna put this into a web element first. Search field, this, and then before getting text, this, and then we would like to wait for the search field or whatever search area before we want to continue with our code, right? So let's see the example if they have any. So this is your implicit, and where's the explicit? Explicit wait. So this is your implicit, okay. Maybe we should open our cheat sheet. Selenium, everybody's it's easier to find things there if you need to. Okay, Selenium cheat sheet, and this is the one that has pretty much most of it. Okay. Driver, okay. Wait. Okay. So this is your implicit and this is your explicit weight. Okay. So, and this is where you're saying that you want to wait for the driver at least 10 seconds for the driver to be present. And then, okay. This is not the cheat sheet that I showed you guys. Let me just see if I can find that median. Somewhere here. So this is the implicit. Okay, that's fine. Wait for the new driver. Okay, this is the explicit, I believe, explicit weight. Okay, so this is the explicit weight. I'm gonna pull it up to our code real quick. Okay, so pasting it right here. So the way you're gonna be using explicit is basically WebDriver wait, and then wait until, and then the present condition by name is login, right? So you want to wait until this guy. Instead of name, you want to do CSS, and you like to import this guys right here. Import this class, and that's it. Okay. And so this is an explicit. You're saying that up to 30 seconds you like to wait before throwing an exception or throwing an error, right? You would like to wait until this is there, presents. So let's run it now. We should not see the errors anymore. At least we will see the error based on the, ooh, okay. I want to get rid of this. Is because we're maybe using the previous method. We got to use the latest syntax. Even this one will probably fail. Let me see. It says web, okay, deprecated, meaning it was removed, but still should work. The latest Selenium removed these methods. So the newer guys, I would say the new way to write, it probably has a new syntax that we have to learn and use. So let's see. Okay, so seems like it did the work, and so far so good. The last one, I'm expecting a fail. Instead of 2 failure, it should be a single failure. Cricket should have less, and that's it, and it failed. Okay, and this is where it stopped. And now we can see that for scenario 1 failed. So this is more like it, right? Because before it would just randomly fail because maybe the page is not loading correctly or whatever. So let's see if the message, the failed message, if it's giving us any clue about the failed, why it failed. So saying feature number 9, this is where it failed. Okay, let's see if I can read this. Chromium, blah, 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 okay. Step definition, okay. Assertion. Okay, it doesn't give me exactly what I'm looking for. It doesn't give me like, hey, it failed because this, right? It's just, okay. Assert true. This is, if this is not true, what should happen? Let me see if I can put a condition in there. I just want to see if I can, if I'm allowed to. 1 second. If it lets me, and then Boolean. Wait, okay. So string and Boolean, okay. Okay, the first one is string and then second one is Boolean. So this is good. So I can put a string to say condition, okay. I can say test failed, right? Something like that, did not match. Fine, did not find value more than expected value, whatever. I just want to see, this should be fine. Message should work. Message should be given when a test fails, and it should, so notice how it doesn't give me a useful information. So I can make it more useful in terms of message. So test fail, for example, this, and I can say did not find. We can probably say something like this plus expected value. Okay, no, this is not going to work. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Did not find search. Okay, let's keep it simple for now. Okay, so if this is not more than expected value, so converted value is not expected more than expected value, then it will print this message. Let's see, give it a run again. So far, if you guys feel that this is too much and it's confusing, it's okay. We will do another one. But I would like you guys to try it first. Then I know exactly where your weakness is, wherever you get stuck, and then I can help you from there, right? Some of you guys will probably not need any.
It's actually too much, not too much. Today is like.
Yeah, I know. I can feel the energy here, right? Not everybody's getting it. I totally agree with that. And like I said, we have to cover a couple of times, and we'll cover a couple of times if needed.
Virtual, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So before end of this class, like, can you just go quickly overview? I'm not saying like just typing everything,
like
but
a
just
summary.
go, yeah, just
Yeah,
a summary overview, like, which step we have to follow in order to do the project. So at least we can just start it, and then we can figure out where we can stuck,
Okay, that's fine. I do have a YouTube video, and I created like a couple of years ago for the same framework. And it's a 15 minutes video that will help you to create the framework at least from scratch. So I'll share that.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. And I will probably share this video also. But anyway, so I'll give you guys a rundown of the summary thing. But for now, notice like the message that I wrote now is giving me a proper message saying, okay, and now I know exactly what happened, right? Before I wouldn't. Before I would be like, okay, where it failed, it tells me it failed, So in this case, as you can see, like there are some tests that will fail because it didn't meet the expected number of results that it should show. Every time it runs, it will run with each value, right? Now I can run this 100 times, 1,000 times, however I want, right? I can run it as many times as I want with different value. And then, okay, so let's go the same scenario. I can run just only once, and in this case, it is called scenario, and this is called scenario outline because scenario outline runs more than once with a parameter, and it takes data from a table, and the table name is example. The table header can be anything the way you want. So I can say, for example, my words. In this case, if that's the name that I would like to use, then that's the name I have to put it over there too. Table header is actually used to find the table value, like the row value. And that's what it is that we're happening. So now let's say, in this case, for Cricket phone, we know it's going to be millions and we want the test to pass. So we can say like pretty much something like this, and we can say expected value, right? Search value, for example. And now we can say this one, you got like whatever, right? So instead of putting it out there, we can put it here and we can make this as a parameter. So for example, we can say, okay, so we can say like string, we can take the string as a value and then we can convert it into long, not a problem. Expected value. And now look at the pattern right here. We'll take that and expected number. So we put that right in there. So the expected value becomes right here, right? So we have to convert that into long, right? So I'm gonna say long convert expected, right? Val. So you get your, you have to do two things. Sorry, you can do just a single thing right here, expected value right here, okay? And now you no longer need this guy right here, okay? Cancel. Okay, and that's it. X converted expected value should be, oh, sorry. And that's it, right? What I did is I'm gonna now show you, now it's required, see it's failing, this requires a number. And the number is gonna come from the table, okay? And I'm gonna say expected value. And I just need a million, whatever it is, right? So this one is billion. Oh goodness, I should have kept the number. Okay. So this one I know is gonna be millions only, right? So let me see what is 1 billion, right? 1 billion as number. This is our 1 billion, okay? And we don't need these things right here. We wanted to do some math, so it's fine. So this is 1 billion is good. This is also 1 billion is good. Samsung is 1 billion is also good, right? Which one is not good? 1 billion, we have to say, okay, we are still accepting the result, but it has to be million. So if this is like, let's say this is a 600 million, right? So 600 and something million, right? Because let's say we look into the Cricket phone and see the value, and then we can make the assumption. And it has 676 million, right? That's it. So we're just gonna say 6 million, that's it. So 76, we don't have to count. We just put some wiggle room because number may go up and down. If it goes up, it's fine, but if it goes down, it's gonna be a problem. So now we go into our test and we can put it right here. And then we can say this becomes 0, 0, and that's it. 600 millions. We're accepting as a answer for this one. And then we got to change this, and this one we have to say if we'll run this later, but for now we run this one. Now it should pass all of the tests. All 4 tests should be passing. Cricket, and then also done, right? Okay, it also ran the last one. Okay. Okay, it ran this last one too somehow. I didn't ask for it to do that. But anyway, so you guys see the difference here, right? Before I go over the overview, we have 20 minutes. I'm gonna do some Q&A, and I'm gonna go over the whole framework one more time. Any question here with the test case?
Is it assertion for expected value, like 1 million, 1 billion?
Yeah, so this is your expected value. So if you change that, so you're saying as long as it shows anything more than, because that's what you have as a log, right? You said more than right here. So as long as it's more than 1 billion, then you're fine. You're saying I will take that as a passing value, right? Passing result. You're saying as long as it's more than 600 million right here. And so the moment you change this, then it's going to be a problem, right? It's going to fail. So for example, 600, you only got 600, expected result is 600 million. If you put that a 1 billion, then it's going to fail. It's only going to give you 600 and some change, right? As a million. Now, the reason why you want to do it this way, like especially like this is specific test case. So if you work for Google, you cannot stick to the same number and say, okay, it should be exactly 28 million, and that's it. That's like, for example, right here, you're seeing 607, something like that, right? You can continue to run it, it's fine for today, but then tomorrow somebody opened up a website and they using Cricket Mobile or something to Cricket Phone on their website, and now it increased 1, right? And your test will fail, right? So for you to consider if Cricket Phone return any result, you're looking at here and saying, okay, it should not have less than 600 million. That's it. At least this is a given number that you can, you know that all of a sudden people cannot delete their website. 74 million people cannot just go and just delete their website. So at least this is a safe assumption to say that anything more than 600 million will be, will be a passing score for you. So you're making the choice. Same thing, Apple phone. For example, Apple, right? Apple has so much, right? It's got 4 billion result, right? Now, you're just saying, okay, anything more than 1 billion, I'm happy, right? That's fine. Now, let's say you're doing this test, all of a sudden you see only 5 results for Apple. Is your search engine working? The chances is no, because it cannot be overnight, cannot lose that many websites with Apple on it, right? So the articles and things like that people create, it can only increase. That's why you cannot stick to the same exact number. If you do that, then what if, like, let's say one website change and now you have 4,569 million, right? 1 million change for some reason, right? So that's why when you work with the numbers, you have to work with probability. Like you have to say, okay, you don't want to stick to the same number. You want, okay, if it matches up to this much, I'm happy with it, right? Probably the keyword Apple is working as long as it has a 1 billion. You can even go as much as 3 billion if you want to, because you know that it will not change this many overnight. All right, so if that makes sense, this is BDD Cucumber. This is how that has looked like. Notice like how pretty much it's nice and it looks good for your eyes, but also you can read and say, okay, what exactly you're doing, right? See the difference between the previous framework and this, right? And then also the report is going to look amazing. The HTML report with Cucumber. 1 second, I'm gonna go ahead and change that IntelliJ actually. So I'm gonna go in there right here in the setting. I just have to figure out how to create the report. This is happening in the run configuration. We did all this already, by the way. So just have to provide the runner, right? So we have to create a runner class and then provide, like, for example, Cucumber Java, we have to provide all this output that we didn't before, right? And you see the argument right here, we have to provide that in order to get the output, report output. So we'll do that in a bit. So far so good, at least we can do this much, right?
Yes, I have another question. Can I use Cucumber for auto insurance website demo?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, anything. You can automate pretty much anything, right? It's nothing to do with the websites or anything. This is another way to automate. It's just that this is now, let's say you join a company and this is already an existing test, and they said, hey, today write a new test and I want you to do a keyword search and see if they should not they should not give you more than 500 results, right? And the keyword that they're giving you is something like this. Let's say something that doesn't exist in Google or whatever, right? So this is a negative testing. This should not give you anything whatsoever, right? And then you said, okay, fine. So let me create the test. In your case, at least 50% of your test is already finished. Because once again, my computer, so 50% of your test is already finished because you don't have to do much. You just have to copy until you just copy the whole thing. You change this expected result is to 0. It should not be more than 0 on the first place, right? And because we're grabbing the number from the element that shows up right here, it's not there, then you can probably stop it right here somewhere. You can say, if this guy is not even there, then we're good, right? So you can say if and else, like right here, if search field something, search field is whatever, right? You can say if search field is not there, that means your test pass, right? For 0. It is less than 0. So there is a lot of things that you can do. All right, it's 2:19. I'm gonna go over the whole framework and explain, and then we're gonna make this framework better and better. And at some point, we're gonna start to push our code and pull our code. By the way, if you guys want to see as an example, just go to github.com/ just find me right here, SF, right? So this is the URL. Once you find me here, you're going to see a lot of repositories. Click on repository. And then let's start looking for the right one, right? So look for acceptance test, okay? You can go to the code and you can actually download everything that we did today, right? I didn't push this one specifically, but at least this is a working copy of our test. And you can see people are pushing code, like my previous students, they were pushing code right here, you see? They making changes. And as you can see, they're updating and putting codes and things like that. So here, if you want to, obviously, I would say the best bet is to follow the website, follow the video and do it yourself. But again, you can copy the code by just downloading zip if you need to. But use that as a reference. Don't try to copy as is and thinking it's going to work, right? When I teach you guys GitHub, I'm going to show you how to take this copy and make a clone, right? There is a command line, and also for Windows user, there is CMD. And let me show you actually. So make this bigger. So you're going to say git. You have to have git in your thing. So if you have something like this, when you say git, and that means you have git already on your Mac. For Windows, you have to download it. So once you have that, you can say git clone, and you put that URL that I showed you right here. This is the URL, and you do enter, and now it copied all the code into my machine. Okay, and now I have to find where I put it. So the best way to do this, first create a folder, and then from that folder you clone it, and then you can find that folder if you need to. So this thing, if I do ls, it probably is somewhere here, but I could have, it's right here, but I could have created a folder, for example, mkdir, creating a directory, and I can say my new project, for example, and then cd my new project, and then I can say git clone. And now if I go into this, and I can see this is already done, right? If I go into acceptance criteria, acceptance test, and then I do ls, and I can see everything got copied in. Okay. All right. With that said, let's see.
Okay, I got a quick question. So when you run the test, so isn't it should be like stop at the 1 billion, which was like Samsung?
You're saying it should stop why?
Can you go back to the what is called?
Right here.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's see.
Because you know, you said like I should use res like, you know, the last thing you said, close at 1 billion in the at the bottom here scenario.
Right here. This one
Uh,
or this one?
yeah, this one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, you are expecting
Oh.
this to fail?
No, no, I'm saying like, you know, the other one you have here, cricket phone, which is like 6 million. So, so why did it run? It's
Why did it run? Because we said right here, we're explicitly saying, so when it runs cricket, then it will also get the value here, right? You see, first my word and expected value. These two is coming from here, right? For cricket,
okay.
it's in the same row. We're saying for cricket, it should not be more than 600, right? So for example, if you want to see the failed one, you can run it individually and you can say like, okay, you got 1 billion. You're expecting 1 billion. Now these tests will fail. And same thing, if you change this, and now we're going to run this and then I will show you again that at least cricket will fail because it doesn't have 1 billion result. 2, 3, Samsung, okay. And then cricket, and then it's gonna wait and it's gonna probably fail. Cricket, boom, boom. Okay, and it does have failed. Let's see. Is it more than 1 billion? I hope it's not. Okay, 5 scenario, everything passed. I would like to see why. Let's see, maybe the cricket has changed. I don't know.
I think because we have in the second line, which is like 1 billion. So I think that's why maybe.
Which line? Right here, this one?
You know, yeah. I think because of this 1 billion, it will run whatever you have on the top. If it's like,
No, 1 second. Yeah,
I'm
so
not
we're
sure.
saying, I hope this is 1 billion, first of all, because if it's, okay, let me see real quick. Okay, let's do Apple first. All right, I'm just gonna debug this with you guys. So if I do Apple and do a search, and this is what I'm seeing now, it's 2 billion, right? So I'm gonna take this number because I may have a lower number, and I'm gonna remove this special characters. So we don't need that. And this is Apple. So we said if is this the case, then we're good to go, right? So 2 billion just raised up a little bit. Okay, and then this, and then at least cricket shouldn't have 2 billion. So I'm gonna make sure that I want to run only this one cricket, just one, to see if it is good. I may have the logic kind of messed up there. Okay, and it's running all of it for some reason. Okay. My logic is probably messed up. Let me see right here. What I said is convert it to long. Okay, where it is. Oh no, we're not using the, okay. Convert to long if is more than this value, then it's true. It's such a big number. It's just that I don't know if it's doing the right calculation. 1 second.
The problem is when you doing the long conversion, there's a place where it shows the time also, and it's adding to your number.
Oh.
So when you convert it from the string to long, in the string there's a place where the time shows like 1 second, 1.00
this
second.
one, right? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
that
okay,
also
okay,
comes up.
yeah.
That's why it's not working.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I didn't even think about this. All right. All right, so how do we exclude this? We have to exclude this 99. There's 2 ways to do it. One is that get rid of the last 4, sorry, 1, 2, 3, the last 3 numbers. or we can just say break at this point. So with the result, I would like to split the, okay, so let's do a split, probably better. So now this is again for you guys. How do you do a split in Java, right? And so Java, and let's see. I think we did this before, but the split, the way it works, and this is an example, is that you can choose where do you want to split. So in this case, I want to split right here, right? And you can specify where do you want to split. So in our case, we can say, I want to split by the result right here, result, and then take the first index. So when you split, it creates like, it's like an array, right? It has more than just one part. From that array, you want the index value of 0 because that's the portion will have the right numbers, okay? So let's go ahead and do that because there's a little bit more work to that. And this is something I bet you that Google engineers, when they did the automation for their part, they did similar work, which we're just learning to do it because again, we're touching this for the first time. Okay, so numbers only Google results. This is that. And then, so we're replacing this. Before the replacement happen, we have to split this. So Google result dot split. And then we want to split at the results. Okay, and I just want to know the value of this. So system, I just want to print the value first. So that way I can see, let me just do this actually to make it faster. Where did it go? Oh. Okay, good. So I'm just gonna print out after the split and then see what happened. And we go from there. We can also split by a single space, 1 and 2. We know that if we do a split by single space, then number 1, number 2 is our element. Number 2 is the one that we want, okay? So let's do split by no space, meaning like the single space, which is probably better actually. So we're splitting at the single space at this point, okay, single space. And then we will give this a name later, but let's see how it showed up first, okay? Let's run this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like this so we don't have to run that. Then go ahead and run this first, only one. Okay, let's see. All right, so, okay, looks like it created, but I just need to know which element. So I'm gonna have to run it one more time, unfortunately. Okay, so this is where it's splitting. And then I'm gonna give it a name or something. So okay, sorry. So what I can do is probably print it out this way. Value of 0. For us, we assume that if it prints like a 0, 1, that's what we need. Only 1. I'm going to run it. All right, let's see. Okay, so it printed the 1, right? So you see now it's printing the real value, okay? But this is still a string, right? Because we just printed the, remember, it's coming from the string, okay? So now instead of doing this conversion of 0 to this and that, we can just simply directly go into converting the number, right? So we can say this number, okay? So we're printing already, so we don't need that. So we're basically converting to long this number only, okay? Let's go ahead and run it. And now it should probably fail. So let's see. All right, it seems like it did fail, okay. So you see for input string, this, what does it say? I wanna make sure if it's
Yeah, it failed, I
failing for the
think.
right reason. Yeah. But I'm gonna see if it's failing for the right reason, because this is, we may end up needing that, because we have to probably remove these things, these small things, special characters. Okay. Numbers exception. So you see, it couldn't convert. We have to now remove the, so the one that we had for removal of, hold a second, I'll put it back. So we just want to grab, now we just want to grab the numbers only from this guy only, okay, this guy. So instead of the result, we go this, and numbers only. It's going to work now. Actually, it's going to work, yeah. Okay, now we should see a proper failure. The failed that happened before, it was because conversion error. It couldn't convert because of the special characters that we had to remove. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so now it failed for the right reason. Test failed because did not find the result of expected value. Now, if I reduce these two, say 600, so I think I have to remove 2, and I can say 6, and now it will pass because it will meet the criteria, which is 600 million. Okay, so as you guys can see, it did pass, right? It is more than 600 millions anyway, so. All right, now in this case, you know for fact that this is gonna fail and this 3 is going to pass, right? So if I run it, let's see. It does take a little bit of time there, but you can see that out of 5, 1 failed, and the one that we expected is the one, and then we are seeing the right message, okay? That it failed and why. So a few things that we need to do for before the next class. We're gonna repeat this class because I know a lot of people are probably not very comfortable as of right now.
Very confused,
But
yeah.
yeah, so that's fine. Again, just take that. At least what I want from you guys is that try to do something. Try to get that set up and be able to run maybe like the first line, at least the first 1 or 2 lines. And if you can do that, it will help you the next class, because the next class I will go over this maybe again to make sure that you guys have the time to catch up. And this is not a homework, but if you post your result in the channel, not only me, but everybody else will see it. And this will help them, but also it will show that if you're trying, that means somebody else can try. If you're able to do it, that means somebody else can do the same thing. So that's what I would recommend for you guys to do. So again, the only part that is different with other framework is that the layer, we added a new layer, which is the feature, but then we still write everything in a class separately, as you can see, okay? Everything is done in a separately, and we create methods and we tell it to use whatever string that we're using right here as a step. This is definitely a cleaner look. The next class, I'm going to show you guys how to create HTML report, and I'm going to show you how to create one yourself. So look. It's quite good looking report compared to others. This is coming from Jenkins, I believe. This is also coming from Jenkins plugin, but this is from your local. This is how it should display the report. You can create this locally, this kind of report also using plugin. So we're going to show you the numbers of ways to create these reports right here. You see how it is. If it fails, it tells you exactly where it failed. So Cucumber, again, like visibility wise, being able to visualize, being able to reuse things that are already been done, Cucumber is really, really useful for any team that are out there. Even with the new frameworks, the new, there are brand new tools out there that the companies are looking into and people are using. They also prefer using those tools with Cucumber. So Cucumber has no limit in terms of like, oh, this is going to be something for maybe 1 year, 2 year, and then it's done. No, Cucumber is carrying on, still carrying on, because no matter what automation tool is being implemented or created out there as new tools, maybe more efficient tools, still using Cucumber because it is one way to display your work in plain English, right? So they can use the Cucumber plugin, they can use Cucumber library within their new tool to kind of write the test the way that we wrote just now. So this is definitely is the end goal for us to get all the knowledge that we can about Cucumber, and then being able to write this test more fluidly before I can say that, okay, automation part, you guys did at least, you know, your part, which is learning and understanding how to write automation, test automation using Cucumber. TestNG, JUnit, and other things that we learn in the beginning is just to get to this point, right? This is like the last, this is the marathon, right? You did everything else because you want to be able to understand how Cucumber works. So hopefully this today just giving you some idea, but the next class, hopefully we can bring more clarity. But I would say that try to set up this on your own. And let me see if I can find my YouTube video. That video I created like a while ago, and let's see, Cucumber in 15 minutes, something like that. I gave it a name, Cucumber in 15 minutes, I believe. 15 minutes. Yeah, this is the one. Well, that's my video right here. So yeah, 2 years ago, and it should have very similar. I'm going to share this with you guys right now. Let me see if I can. All right, so the day I created this, I wasn't really feeling too well, so I was I went down real quick to create this framework and had the Maven XML separately. So you may have to look into the version, and one by one you'll have to add it to your XML. Pause it here at this point and then add those, and then follow through the next 15 minutes, and you should be able to run your test. So, okay, let me just go ahead and post it here real quick, the YouTube video. And So this is, instead of watching this 2 or 3 hours of video from the class, you can choose to do this 15 minutes that I have on YouTube and do the same thing. Get to the goal. Pretty much this is get to the point here, right? Everything that I said here is just to give you more clarity and understanding. But this is just get to the point. You just want to create the framework. You just want to write your test, and you can probably follow that. But if you want to follow this will give you more understanding, like where we coming from pretty much in terms of Cucumber. These tests, anytime I write a test case, it's not something that I already choose and decide like, oh, I'm going to go and write a test case this today. You know, it's just right there, and then we make a choice, and then we go through all the tough decisions that we have to make in order to make the test case happen, right? For example, I didn't think that I have to do all this conversion just to get to this point, right? Where I'm comparing the result number, right? But this was a good way to say, okay, this is pretty realistic when it comes about test automation at work. You'll have to be able to go on Google and find everything that you need, because at no point for the first year, you will feel that you know everything. At no point before joining or before going out there looking for jobs, you'll feel like you're ready. You're never gonna feel like you're ready, but that doesn't mean you're ready. So we'll make the calls and say, okay, you're ready as long as you fit this window, right? The criteria. But trust me, you will not feel like you're ready, and I don't want you to, you know, think that everybody's gonna feel perfect before going out to the market and looking for a job. Even if you don't feel like you're ready and we're telling you that, okay, we're going to start marketing you, just go with it, because we know that you may need this extra help after the job, and we'll provide that, or at least you may be able to spend some time after getting the job. We don't know for a fact that when you get a job, you're going to be doing Cucumber or you're going to be doing other frameworks. We don't know for a fact that you'll be doing manual or automation, right? Some companies, they will hire you with automation, and then after joining, maybe they're seeing that you're kind of slow with automation, they will just place you on the manual side, and you'll just do manual for maybe 6, 7, 8 months until you speak up and say, hey, I would like to do automation too. You know, that's what I was hired for. Or you can simply start to contribute and say, look, I'm busy with automation, I'm not going to do manual, something like that. But at the end of the day, once you get to the company, we will see what kind of help you need. But we're trying to give you a little bit of everything at this point, so that way you don't have empty, like you're not going there with empty-handed and not being able to survive in a job. All right, with that said, I am taking too much time. It's Sunday, so I'd like to give you guys the rest of the day to do whatever you need to do. If you guys don't have any question, I will end it here. And again, like I said,
I have a question. Can you just put those PML, those XML dependencies in a note so we can download it from there? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, so let me copy this, and then I'm gonna paste it here in the chat, okay? And I think, or maybe the file, let's see. I'm gonna go under in the chat. Oh, it's gonna let me, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna just, let's see if I can give you the file 1 second.
I have a question from previous class, like Selenium framework for automation, for auto insurance. So I can make the drop down, but I cannot make the drop down assertion.
You cannot do assertion in a drop down. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Like, okay, that is something that we have to look at it, because we may be doing it the wrong way, or something that we have to like see it to kind of give you the help. But you can definitely do the assertion in drop down. It'll be like assert equal. You cannot do Boolean. You can, but it's just not recommended because it's the value that you're asserting. You can only do a value or the visible text assertion. You shouldn't do index because it's just a number, right? All right, so this pom.xml, is it better if I drop it here, or is it better if I just paste it in into the group and just let me
I think you can drop it here too.
all right, let me see if I can copy this copy and then paste item. Okay, so I got that pasted file, my computer, and then desktop. All right, so I uploaded here to everybody. Download it before we end the class, so at least you have it. And then if you see the video again, you'll be able to get this pom.xml at the time of seeing the video. All right, any other questions? Like I said, this is going to be
Just a
overwhelming.
quick remark. Can you, on the next class,
Yeah.
maybe, is it possible we can go over the what do you call, the XPath locator, like the class and then elements?
Yeah, definitely. We will. Anything that we need, just go ahead and mention it during the class, and we'll go over it. The locators, I think we did cover that in the previous class, but if we need to go over, we will. The other thing is that if you guys, I guess like this is for what you have to do after this class, just try it. You got the pom.xml, just try to do as much as you can. The next class, we're gonna go over this framework one more time, but this time we're gonna learn something called, let's see, I'll show you. We're gonna learn something called GitHub, right? This is where we're gonna end up putting your code. So everybody's gonna start pushing your code directly to GitHub. And I will be working as a project lead, or at least the test lead, meaning like we're gonna try to simulate the real world situation. And you're gonna send me your code as to review. Instead of doing a video, now you're gonna basically say, hey, here's my code. Can you review it for me? And then I'll do the review that way. So moving forward, whenever you finish your homework, you're gonna be pushing your code directly to GitHub. And that next class, I'm gonna show you how to push. And we're gonna continue to push until you get a job. So we're gonna continue to push. We're gonna probably do daily basis for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, we're gonna do monthly basis, weekly basis, and then monthly basis, because you're gonna be busy when we are doing the marketing. So I don't want to take that time away from you, but at least until we go into the marketing, we will be able to push daily basis in terms of test cases, or at least even if you write a single line, you should be able to push that code for a review. You're getting stuck, you can push the code and say, hey, line number this, exactly this number, I'm stuck. Then we can look into that through GitHub and give you suggestion on how to fix it. So again, GitHub is like, everybody should know it, right? It's because how are you supposed to deliver your code for a test? And that's the last thing. It's the last thing, but also not the least thing to cover. This is huge, right? We need to make sure that you also learn GitHub. Anybody here feel like Java is something that they need to go back to? Anybody here that you feel like that you need to go back to, like basics of Selenium? I would say, do our Udemy course, right? We did buy a lot of Udemy courses for you guys over the years. Let me go ahead and log into my own account. If you don't have the login, let me know. It's the same password. Probably Shantabai shared already. And I'll go ahead and click on My Learning. Once you click on My Learning, all of these courses that you can see, 87 courses that are over the years we bought for students, and that could be like API testing. And this is not something that we bought it because we want to teach in class. This is something because somebody got a job and now the manager's asking for something, and they don't know where to start it. So what I usually do, again, we don't try to catch the fish for you. We try to make sure that you can catch the fish yourself. So we'll give you the course. Before even helping you out, we want you to finish the course, and then we'll help you out, because then you will have better knowledge. Because no matter what we will talk about, you're not going to understand it if you really didn't know what the topic itself. But anyway, here, this is the course, BDD, Selenium WebDriver 4 with Cucumber BDD. This probably going to be more broken down into different sections that you can actually help yourself with if you need to. Like pretty much creating anything that you need. It goes all the way up to Jenkins. This is something that also, I think I bought this course because somebody, when they got hired, they were asked to create the framework and then write tests. So I said, okay, why don't you do this? Get this course, and every day you do one topic, and then you tell your company that, okay, today I covered the, let's say, setup, and the next 2 weeks I'm going to be doing the configuration, which is this thing, right? Hooks, you got the mapping steps, and you got the feature file. So, and then after that, you can say, okay, now I'm writing a few tests, right? I'm writing a few example tests. And then from there, you just continue to progress until you finish your entire framework. And then you can go ahead and ask other coworkers to also help you increase your test cases into this framework. So that is something that you can also do. Once you get hired, you can choose to do this also. But every courses have interview questions, right? Every courses that you will go through here, you'll see at the end, it says interview something, interview prep or something like that. So if you have the time, look into it. If you feel like you're short, just come into this My Learning. You can do basics Java, you can do Selenium basics, you can do Maven, you can pretty much anything we covered here, you will find it. You know, I think a few days ago you did Postman, so this is your Postman class right here. Any learning that you're doing outside, it's welcomed and valuable, because it doesn't matter who you're learning from. It only matters is going to help you to get a job, right? So we don't really go and about enforcing like, oh no, you shouldn't be touching this material and that material. Anything is good. So go ahead and do it. But again, you got 78 courses or 87 courses here that you can learn from if you need to. If you feel like things, materials that we're going, maybe you feel like we're slow, maybe you feel like that some things we didn't cover, always try to come in here and cover it. But if you do feel like it's specifically something that we didn't cover, and just bring it up during the class, we'll cover it also. All right, with that said, guys, it's gonna be 3, and don't want to hold everybody here. Some people already dropped. So I'll see you guys next time. Try to do as much as you can with Cucumber, and I will look forward to those videos to see how many people actually did something with Cucumber. And then the next class I'll do deeper dive into Cucumber, and we're not going to build it from scratch because it takes a while. We're going to just take it right from here. Okay, so at least if we can build up to this much, we will be fine for the next class. All right, see you guys next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.